Hey guys, it's Josh, and welcome back to Cross Zone. So today I'm going to do my first ever Christian athlete spotlight, and this is just basically where I talk about a Christian athlete and their background and stuff like that, and what their background is, how they came to Christ, how they led others to Christ, stuff of this nature. And today we're going to talk about the guy that you see right behind me. I'm gonna move out of the way for a second here. You see that guy? That is the $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase. And he was a pro wrestler with WWE Wrestling in the late 80s to the late 1990s. He went back and forth between WWE Wrestling and WCW Wrestling. Anyway, his character was that of an arrogant millionaire. He always would walk around carrying huge wads of cash, $100 bills, and he would generally treat people like crap. He would go up to waiters at restaurants and tell them to like kiss his shoes, and if they kissed his shoes, he would give them $100. So he would humiliate people like that. He had a bodyguard they called Virgil. He was constantly treating Virgil very poorly, making Virgil tie his shoes, stuff like that, and I'll tell you a couple of his more famous skits. In one skit, he offered a 10-year-old child $100 if they could dribble a basketball 100 times. So he lets the kid dribble the basketball 100 times, but when he gets to that 99th dribble, he kicks the basketball out from under the kid's can, so the kid can't complete the 100th dribble. And of course, the crowd around him, everybody boos. It was a crazy scene. In another video, I'm sorry, not in another video, in another storyline, he actually buys a slave. I'm not kidding you. He buys a slave. He buys another wrestler as a slave. This wrestler, Hercules, he was managed by a guy named Bobby Heenan. And there was this skit where Bobby Heenan, unknown to Hercules, had sold Hercules to Ted Dibiase as his slave. And Ted Dibiase's whole thing is, because I'm a millionaire, I can buy anything I want. I can make anybody do anything I want because I have money, right? So storyline ends up where Hercules ends up being Ted Dibiase's slave, and like Ted Dibiase is laughing about it and this and that. And when Hercules tries to speak up for himself, he gets attacked, beat up, so on and so forth. This culminated in a match. The storyline went on for a while, and it culminated in a match where Dibiase versus Hercules it was called the Fight for Freedom. And astonishingly, they actually made Ted Dibiase win that match. I couldn't believe the writers had Dibiase win that match, but he did. Now, luckily, they wrote the whole slave thing out of the storyline after that, but I could not believe they let Dibiase beat Hercules when Hercules was supposed to be fighting to not be a slave. So it was just crazy. But when Dibiase would win his matches, he would stuff when he had his opponents unconscious, he would like stuff $100 bills into their mouths while they were unconscious and stuff like that, and kind of stand over them and laugh and things of that nature. He would make fun of poor people and get them to do crazy stuff. Like I said, tie his shoes, whatever it is, to get, so that he would give them $100 and stuff like that. And so here's the thing about Ted Dibiase. The real Ted Dibiase is absolutely nothing like this. Never was. The real Ted Dibiase is a committed Christian who would never, ever, ever act like this. In his real life, he has been very generous, like with his money, to various charities and things like this. And he speaks at churches all over America to this day, inviting people to come to Jesus Christ. And like a lot of people have become Christians because of Ted Dibiase. And like with him, I will give him credit. You guys know I'm not a Christian. You guys know I'm playing a role for this internship. But even though I'm not a Christian, I really respect Ted because I feel like Ted does it right. He's not too flashy. His $1 Million Man character was, but he wasn't. He himself is not. He's not particularly greedy for money. He has a very sort of humble spirit. He's a guy that I would sit down and, have a chat with. You know what I'm saying? But he speaks at churches all over America. And you'd be hard-pressed to find too many people that have brought more people to the Christian faith than he has. And he really lives what he preaches. Like, he's not somebody who's, you're not going to catch him out there, like sleeping around on his wife or whatever. He just doesn't do that. He's just not a guy that does that kind of thing. He has a podcast now where he talks about wrestling and stuff like that in the old days of wrestling. I think it's called Everybody's Got a Pod or something like that. He has donated to like homeless people before. I mean, this is a guy that is an all-around good guy. But you would never know it from the character he played on TV. Now, you guys might ask, well, this is supposed to be about Christian athletes. Wrestlers aren't real athletes. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. The outcomes of the matches might be scripted and all this, but it's still an athletic performance in the ring, okay? And you still have to have a lot of athletic prowess to do the stuff that those guys do inside the ring once the match is on. So WWE athletes are, in fact, real athletes. And they're some of the toughest athletes in the whole world. Taking bumps and bruises all the time is not fun, and that's what they do for a living. But back to my main point. You got a guy who on TV plays the most evil, diabolical person that he can possibly play. But in real life, he's one of the most dedicated Christian people in the world, and probably out of there's a lot of Hollywood celebrities that claim to be Christian. I would say Ted is one of the few that I really think is really for real with it. Just the way he conducts himself and everything. So that's in this week's spotlight on Christian athletes. I spotlighted Ted Dibiase. Go check out some of his stuff on YouTube, whether it's his skits, his interviews, anything like that, his preaching, whatever it is. There's a bunch of stuff of him on YouTube all over the place. So go check him out. Thanks for watching.